my background, my parents' background, we were a blue collar, working class family. There wasn't a lot of aspiration. If your parents were white collar, business, university, then that was what the aspiration was for, usually for their children. If you were a working class, blue collar, that was what was pretty much in the cards for you as well. Whatever the trade was, you would find a vocation of some kind and do that. It was rare that, the working class blue collar kids broke away and went to university. And I was going to be, I thought the electrician looked fun, so, and that's where I was headed at the time. There was a coach that said, what do you mean you're not going to college? My response immediately to him at the time was, no, I can't go to college. They don't let somebody like me go. And his response was a firm, oh yes, you can. You would do well. I finally found where I belonged. I was, instead of really struggling with my courses, all of a sudden, as I went into business, it was, I just understood it, and my grades reflected that. And then I start looking for a job, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. And it was a friend of mine, his mother worked at an employment agency, and she said, I just had this thing come through. It's this company, they're expanding into the area. I think they lease cars. I'm not really sure what they do, but hey, you should talk to them. And I went, saw them, and it was just the atmosphere of it. They were looking for, the funny thing is they were looking for people like me, kind of driven, people that want to prove themselves. It was a company that was based on, you got promoted by your performance, whereas my background, seeing my father in the union, everything was seniority. It didn't matter if you were any good at what you did as long as you were there longer than the other guy. Yeah, I've been promoted a bunch of times to the point where I was a kind of a regional manager in central upstate New York. So I was running 25 branches over a really big geographical area. And the next step, in my progression would have been to a regional vice president position somewhere in the country. Not that I wasn't happy where we lived or what I was doing, it was just that drive to keep getting promoted. And the company was very big on kind of pushing that I was getting to a stage where I just felt, okay, I need to figure out what I'm doing. An opportunity in the UK came up, and they started asking around. And in fact, they called my boss to talk about one of my colleagues, and he went, "Oh no, that's not the guy that you want. You want to talk to Dave. He's the one that, if you want somebody to run something like that's needs to be fixed, that's who you should speak with." The opportunity actually was in Cardiff. It was for Wales in the southwest of the UK. And a few days after we got back to the US, I found out I didn't get the job. I thought I did a really good showing of myself. And in fact, I guess I did, because less than a month later, they called up and offered me a different position, a different operating group that really needed work. And it actually was a place I think was a better fit for me anyway. So it worked out well. I ended up in East Anglia, in kind of covering the middle part of the country.
Well, once we got word that Dad had landed the promotion to come here, it was really all quite exciting. Telling my parents, when we told them we were moving to England, of course, my father was so excited, coming from the corporate world. My mother was quite sad and then happy for us afterwards. But they just knew in any way that Dad could get promoted, that would be the only way, was to move from where we lived in the States.
Because it wasn't just, that we were moving to someplace in the U.S. I think you put an ocean between you and your family, and all of a sudden it's a big move, and they were very supportive, as they had been my entire life. I think my father took it hard, so it was hard to explain that to them. And although technology continued to get better, but it was still, it's tough and harder for my wife than for me. Once we moved,
there was a lot of paperwork, and Dad went over early. He went over in March of 2005, and I later followed once Mitchell finished the school year, and we packed up the house. And we went over in August of 2005. And so I pretty much did it on my own. with the guidance of Dad via telephone. And it was quite a challenge, but I look back and think how proud I was. I sold the house on my own. We actually sold the house in one day, which helped.
It was definitely a turbulent time. There was a lot of change happening. I was expected to just drop everything and move to England, wherever that was.
It was a little stressful with 2 young boys. My parents came up and helped out, and my in-laws came up and helped out.
I had a lot of friends, in the local neighborhood and at school. So, for an 8-year-old, just completely dropping all of that and having to start somewhere new, it's daunting.
Once the movers came and the house was empty, it's quite sad to leave that house, knowing the fact that you were both born in that house, and a lot of memories. So, sold the house in one day and got our full asking price, and we left. So. We wouldn't know a soul to where we were moving other than people that worked for the company. So quite different for me, as Dad would be at work all day and I had 2 young children. But I was looking forward to it, excited to meet new friends and go new places and travel and see castles and just learn a lot more about European lifestyle and the British Empire.
Well, making friends, it was difficult. Some people, you're different, so they don't much care for you.
To be someplace where you don't know anybody and everything that you've ever known for your entire life is now just a little bit different.
That was pretty tough. I had a different accent to everyone else, so they were constantly, say this, oh, say what again.
And I went into this place and I said to them, do you do, tailoring and repairs? They said, yes. I said, I need to have my pants repaired. And they went, what is this, a joke? And I went, no, you just said you did. I have them with, and they went, and I put my trousers up onto the counter and showed them where and they went, oh, you mean trousers? And I went, yeah, I guess,
Honestly, other than the food, it really wasn't that different. And I guess the architecture as well, but as a kid, you don't care about that. It was, everyone spoke English. It wasn't like moving to somewhere like Germany, for example. It was a kind of a seamless transition, actually, for me.
Part of it was not fighting and saying, this is the way I do things because, I'm an American and this is how I know and that's the only way I'm going to do it. It was, hey, I'm someplace else. I should learn the culture and learn how things are and understand that. And I think that's usually appreciated.
The only time we considered going back when Dad was made redundant from his job at the time. And after careful consideration and many long talks, we decided to stay because our children were grounded and centered in school, and we didn't want to have to start over again. And we were actually the first people in the company to not go back to the States after a redundancy was made. So they weren't quite sure what to do with us, how to set up the package. But we held on tight, and I think if you wait for things long enough, things will come through, and it certainly did with your father. Landed a great job, and we were able to keep you boys in a familiar environment and to have a happy, healthy life growing up and secure.
Other than the extended family, I really don't have too many roots in the U.S. Like, I still feel, a citizen there and stuff, but I was 8 when I left, so what am I going back to?
It was worth every second of it to look back and the adventure we are on now, and I look forward to it, and I don't regret a single moment of our move here, and completely happy with it.
My father's health for years has been going downhill, and I think he was surprised that he lived as long as he did. He, God bless him, lived life to the fullest when he was younger and right on through, and would call them every week and really just talk about nothing, talk about you and Mitchell and what was going on, and it was very comforting, you know, just to bring them in and let them be part of your life and our lives.
And yeah, it's regrettable that I'm not there for a lot of the big events.
My in-laws, Henry and Lucy Rossi, passed away 2 weeks apart in January.
Anytime you grieve, that, and especially when you lose, there is a process that you need to go through, and part of it I've missed out on. It's cathartic at times, I think, to be able to do that and reminisce, and I haven't had that. So, but you just keep moving on.
My mom will be 91 in September, and my father will be 93 in November. So I worry every time I leave that it's the last time I'll see them. And I'm going back, and it may well be the last time, which is really difficult. And I knew that when we took, Dad took the job, that someday down the road this is going to happen. I mean, it's inevitable, that is life, but I don't see them as much as I'd like to, and as my siblings see them much more often, and I see them twice a year, so it's really important that I get back. I'm gonna miss you. It's always hard leaving my own family. I wish you were all coming. And my parents love to see you too. And grandchildren that they never really get to see very often. That's hard on them. And very close family, so. And my brothers and sisters with their children, so your cousins. And it always seems like my family's not always there at everything. We miss a lot of holidays, but we try to get back when we can. We've had a few people visit over the years, but we tend to go back more than they come here. Such is life.